I said, chill foot it like Vinnie Jones in Wimbledon days, right into it, right in about it. Ayo. Well, hello and welcome into this Monday's Entertainment News. I am Jonathan C. Walsh. I am the host for this here stream. Joining me to my left is Stephen John McLaughlin. He is also a host of sorts, a co-host, if you'd like. Stephen helps me out when I inevitably make a complete arse of it. Stephen used to be the host when it was a one-room experience, but because I'm in charge of the actual
buttons,
connection, yes, the buttons, the producer of chaos, well, I'm the host now. I'm the click. Stephen, we're here to discuss Star Wars, Kings of the Galaxy, fighting for you and I, fighting for me, Star Wars. We're here to discuss Star Wars. Stephen, more specifically, discuss Ewan McGregor.
Are we live?
I hope we're live. I hope we are, because I selected all of the correct things and it's streaming.
I don't get a notification.
I'll check. I'll double check just now. I'll bring it up. Movie Burner Entertainment.
Yeah. It's probably my device.
We should be live. We fucking should be. Unless... Oh, we're getting animal. We're not getting animal. Live and interactive. Are we live and interactive? I am not seeing any signs of us being live. Stephen, you may be right. Which is very fucking strange. Because I definitely said live, and it's definitely showing live in the studio. And we're showing as being live on Twitch as well. So we should be live. But are we?
It said 16 minutes ago.
I
don't know what's going on with YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah,
it's a fucking tube. That's what's going on with it. It's a tube.
Check your devices, probably. That's the best thing to do.
I'll stretch over. My phone's flat as a pancake, sadly. I'll stretch over and get to my iPads. Where's my iPads here, guys, you know? Stay there. What's that?
It says, will he return? Then when you click on it, nothing happens.
Are we live on Twitch? Bit of a car crash, so I'll have to redo the intro. If we are live. I'm not seeing us live on YouTube. Fucking bizarre. Bizarre. Don't know what's going on here, guys. If you're here and you're watching this, bear with me. We're definitely live on Twitch. That's for damn fucking sure. We're live over on Twitch, but we're not live on the YouTube. To quote another channel.
The YouTube.
Live on the YouTubes. You're a fucking tube. I don't know what to do here, Stephen. Do we continue with this?
Live across the medias.
Do we continue with this?
No, because nobody can see it. From the Twitchers.
You know what I think it is? It's got this absolute fucking incredible hard on. For setting a private stream. So if I go public, will we go live now? Will we go live? For some strange reason.
Is this OBS again?
I think it was Fantastic. It was a Fantastic Four stream that started this, where it was private for some fucking reason. That's never seen the light of day, that stream, by all accounts. I'll be live now, Stephen. Can you confirm or deny?
It's coming up live. It's coming up live. We're live.
What the fuck is going on here? We are live now.
Yeah.
We are live now. Stream, by all accounts. I can see myself here, guys. Right, so what I'm going to do here, right? This is like the old days, where it's a fucking car crash and you're looking into a webcam on a MacBook and I'm looking into my phone and we've got like £1,000 worth of camera equipment and we're looking at phones. We'll just do a quick little intro again, right? Cut. Didn't happen. This is brand new information, guys. Brand new.
We will never hear.
The people on Twitch have already seen this. Well, hello and welcome into this Monday's Entertainment News. I'm Jonathan C. Walsh. I'm the host for the stream. Joining me to the left is Stephen John McLaughlin. He is the co-host of the stream for this evening. Stephen, Star Wars.
Yes.
Star Wars. Just to emphasise Star Wars by clapping. We're going to discuss Star Wars, Stephen. The galaxy far, far away and a long, long time ago. That's not the way it was put to the script by George Lucas, but it's the way that I have said it now. I'm as high as a fucking kite on a Bakewell tart and whipped cream. So this is going to be a car crash. And I was as high as a kite last night on copious amounts of alcohol. So it's been a weird couple of days. Stephen, we're going to discuss Ewan McGregor, our very own, Scotland's own Ewan McGregor. Yeah. Doesn't sound like anyone in Scotland that I know, but he is a Scot, and we are going to discuss him nonetheless. I'm going to endeavour to bring this up in a way that isn't completely conky and fucking horrendous. And Stephen, the shop, we're going to discuss Ewan being misconstrued as saying that he was in the upcoming Ahsoka Season 2. And there's been a bit of news, and I think it was via Collider, the famous cornflake pissers. They've come out and says they like to poo-poo things, you know. Pissers of cornflakes, Weetabix, whatever your choice of breakfast cereal is. And they've come out and poo-pooed it, Stephen, poo-pooed it, whatever. Pissed on it. And they've confirmed that the actual quote from Ewan was this. I'm going to read it and then I'm going to ask your thoughts on a myriad of things, Stephen.
Yes.
Well, I like watching my wife, you know. Which one? So I really enjoyed Ahsoka. It's a really fucking weird thing to say, Ewan. I really like watching my wife.
From
I
a
like
distance.
watching her secretly from afar. Fucking weirdo. I love Ewan, by the way. I love Ewan. This is all banter. What great banter. I thought that was brilliantly done. It's so funny, like, you know, she's shooting the second season now, and I know. Is that a secret? Well, it's not now, Ewan. You should let the cat out of the bag. You ginger twat. But Stephen, what is your thoughts on this news? What is your thoughts on the whole misconstruing of Ewan? Because obviously they've said here, blah, 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 she's in the actual thing. She plays Harrison Dula in the series. Also, there was a bit of cross wires that he could potentially, or had confirmed he was potentially going to be in Ahsoka Season 2, starring alongside his wife. First and foremost, Stephen, I've posed the question on the thumbnail. Will he, I think I've posted it. Will he return? Do you want to see Ewan returning? Is the first question I'm going to open this discussion with. Not even the meat and bones on the rumours. Him coming out and saying what he said and not at all fucking hinting that he's going to be in Season 2 of Ahsoka Tano was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Would you like to see Ben Kenobi, General Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi coming into this TV show?
No. That's a simple straight answer. No, I mean, the reason for this, John, is because Star Wars have got this tendency to sort of move away from the main character. I mean, they did it with Ewan McGregor, they did it with Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan series by focusing on the Leia character for more than it should have been. And that's just the way it seems to be going. We talked about the book of Boba Fett as well, where he wasn't in an entire episode. But that's another thing, John. That character probably shouldn't have had his own web series to begin with. But
we'll get
with Ahsoka, the thing I liked about the first season wasn't the haters will be out there, John. Once I say this, I wasn't that too up or down about Anakin appearing. It was nice because those are the connections, John, that we're going to get through Star Wars, because it's a franchise that has to build from the middle outwards. And this is what they have to do. They have to connect the dots, and only when it's necessary. It wasn't fan service in terms of Anakin appearing in the first season. It was a bit of mentoring going on with obviously Ahsoka as well. But again, you're getting the connection to the Clone Wars as well, and their special relationship, and it was good to see. And it was great for Hayden Christensen as well. The guy really deserved that appearance. Obviously, he had a couple of appearances in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series as well, as Vader and as Anakin as well, and flashback scenes. And what they're talking about here is obviously flashback because of the timeline Ahsoka's set in. Now, the thing about Obi-Wan Kenobi is, John, that to put him into the second series of Ahsoka is a bit of fan service. There's no need for that character to be appearing in flashbacks. I don't think so anyway. It's just, that's fan service.
Yeah.
Whereas Anakin appearing, it's a relationship between the obviously the master and the Padawan, and that's fine. And it's good reference connecting the dots, as I said. Now with obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi, would it be good to see him playing Obi-Wan Kenobi again? Of course it would, but it has to have meaning, it has to have purpose. It can't just be shoehorned in just because it's Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan Kenobi again. No, I don't think it's necessary, John. If he does appear, then well, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't know if I'm saying this, but in terms of if he appears in it, fine. It'll not really ruin my experience. The thing that I really liked about the first season was the sort of subplot with your man who passed away.
Balin Skull. Yeah.
Balin Skull. I can't remember the actor's name, sorry.
I forget his name as well. Ray Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson, yeah.
Yeah.
From Triple R.
Yes.
Just John, I was very intrigued with that relationship and his sort of apprentice that was going through. She was a good character, his apprentice. Can't remember her name either. It's been a while since I've seen Ahsoka, but John, I liked all those things about obviously, bringing other sort of well-known characters into that series as well was always going to be the case, because that's what Star Wars do. And they did it obviously with the Mandalorian with Luke Skywalker. They did it again with the Book of Boba Fett with Luke Skywalker, and Ahsoka appeared as well. But in terms of that first season, it was interesting enough. I mean, it wasn't great Star Wars, but it was good Star Wars. Yeah. And Ahsoka is an interesting character as well. I do like the character, and just having Hayden in was nice. But to have Obi-Wan Kenobi in there, it has to have some meaning. It has to have some purpose, not just shoehorning the character in. I think Ewan McGregor deserves better than that. If they want to do another season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, then fine. But I don't really see it. I don't really see that it's necessary to put him into this season.
I don't want another season of Obi-Wan. I want the current iteration of Lucasfilm to keep their grubby hands off of that character. They've done so much damage turning him into this. There's just something, I don't know what it is about Star Wars in its current form in the sort of executive branch of Lucasfilm. They've got this just unquenching hard-on, and that's the only word I can use, for turning the prominent male protagonists from the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, into incredibly whiny, bitchy, torn-faced, disenfranchised, piss-stained looking people. I mean, Obi-Wan's still in his fucking prime at this point. This isn't like old man Ben Kenobi, withered part of the furniture in Tatooine. This guy is not far off from the events of, obviously, the Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars and whatnot. The guy was a general 4, 5, 6, 9, whatever fucking years earlier. He's still relatively in his pomp, and I've got him eating fish and just looking withered and haggard. A joke of a character. And obviously they try and explain it by saying he's lost his connection to the Force, he's depressed, and they bring him back to some extent, but the whole choice to saddle him with a 10-year-old fucking Leia or 8-year-old Leia, whatever she was, horrible idea, terrible, man. He had so much promise with that character, development, where he was emotionally, how the fight with his Padawan, his brother. You were my brother, Anakin, I loved you. How that impacted him.
Yeah, there's too many plot holes. The relationship between Ben Kenobi and Leia is not there in A New Hope. It's not there.
No.
Many years ago, you served my father. There. Many years ago, I served your father. What about that fucking time I saved you? That time, that whole adventure we went on. Why are you not talking about that?
Just she's fucking 5. I mean, she's clearly got memories of that point in life. I can remember back to when I was 5. So she doesn't remember meeting this guy, and she doesn't bring that up. You know that time you saved my life and we went on that little space adventure, Obi-Wan. Because he likes to call Vader Darth. So I'm doing it to him. I'm calling him Obi-Wan. Can you get me out this pickle I'm in just now? Thank you. No, she, like you said, Stephen, mentioning her father and please your young hope and whatnot. So, yeah, I don't want to see that character being touched in any way with Lucasfilm. I don't want to see another season, not with this current executive in charge. If they just allowed that guy who had a vision for films to see out his vision. It would have been a totally different thing. He had such a brilliant, thought-out vision, slow burn exploration of the character. That would have been different. I don't want to see them touching the character in his own series, and I certainly don't want to see him getting shoehorned into Ahsoka. It's not required, Stephen. The character of Ahsoka is interesting enough to stand on her own 2 feet. There's enough interesting characters in and around her. Sabine, Hera.
It would have been flashback, though.
Yeah, I know, but I don't even want to see a flashback.
Yeah, I mean, which doesn't really serve any
done
purpose.
That.
Yeah.
We've done that in Clone Wars. We've done, obviously it's a different form, it's not live action. But we've already done the different connections with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and also Anakin. If we're going to get any character back, Anakin's the one to bring back, because it's a real poetic, poignant relationship she's got with him, the way it went, and him maybe in Force, I don't know what form it is. I mean, this is after the events of the original trilogy, isn't it? I'm not tripping. I'm pretty sure it is. Unless I've lost my fucking mind. So Anakin's definitely long shuffled off the mortal coil at that point. So it's a Force Ghost interaction. So that makes more sense. And Hayden, look, I love the guy. Brilliant, sort of personable, charismatic guy. You get done dirty with the lines that George made him say. I maintain he's a great actor. But he's not as good as Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor is going to be busier. He's going to have other roles coming up.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to star in this. Hayden, to an extent, maybe for himself, maybe to try and redeem the character and his version of it, has to maybe come back and do this. And look, the fans love him. So it's a win-win. I'm happy to see Hayden coming back. I'm happy to see that relationship getting explored further. I've got no desire to see Ewan McGregor in this TV show. Stephen, regarding this show though, I mean, there's a whole host of other things, but I'll let you come in.
I was just going to say about Hayden Christensen, you know, I think his portrayal of Anakin and Vader in the Ahsoka series was perfect. I thought just some of the visuals, just the visualization of the sort of the crossover, you know, from the dark and the light side, just the visuals were absolutely incredible. There was a moment where we saw Hayden Christensen sort of coming through the fog, and for a brief split second you saw the flash of Vader coming through, and then it went back to just some of the visuals, John, you know, were pretty good. I think in terms of just coming off the back of Hayden being in the Obi-Wan series, which was some of the best stuff from that series, it's just given the character a sort of more roundedness, his portrayal of the character, I should say, because you know, you mentioned, you know, that it was done dirty in the prequels. To an extent it was, because the dialogue, it wasn't just Hayden, it was fucking everyone, you know, even it made Natalie Portman look like an amateur, you know. And
by the way, Natalie's...
Yeah, and they're talking about flashbacks with her as well in this article, I'm pretty sure, John. Natalie Portman coming back. I don't really want to see that either, to be honest with you. I think Natalie's...
I don't think she'd do it.
No, she wanted... I think there was a conversation with her a few years ago where she would have loved to have played a Jedi or something. I can't remember what it was, but somebody reminded her that, you know, you died. You know?
Yeah, she could be recast though. She could come back as an alien or something. They could do something to bring her in. She's a great actor.
I mean, they could do the flashbacks for that time period when obviously Anakin, Obi-Wan and what's her face, Amidala, you know, Padme, were obviously, you know, in that period. But again, it's just shoehorning these opportunities in because they can, you know. John, I think we're going to see Ewan McGregor in Ahsoka, just thinking about it, you know, just based off obviously the article as well. I think...
I mean, apparently he dropped it on stage.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
And allegedly said on social media, it was at the Fan Expo in Boston, apparently he revealed himself as he was sat next to Hayden Christensen. We begin shooting season 2 soon. And they're trying to say that they've clarified it with this quote, that this is what he really said, but the fucking quotes don't overlap at all. It's not like someone's got a hearing problem and misheard them. I mean, it's two totally different things he's saying. Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe he's screwed up, he's let it out the hat, and now he's trying to scurry it back. I maintain I don't want to see the character in there. It just feels like fan service for the sake of fan service. I don't think the show itself needs it. It's a big, big personality, man. Ewan's a massive star, massive personality. The character has such presence that much like when you bring Luke or something into... I mean, there was talk that Luke would come back at one point, I think, to save the day in the Mando or something like that. You can't keep bringing characters like that back.
No, it's not doing the characters they're trying to establish any favours, John. And that's why Tony Gilroy stayed clear of bringing the Emperor in, Ian McDiarmid, into obviously season 1 and season 2.
Oh yeah, Andor.
Andor, and it was the right thing to do because you've got these established, developing characters at this point who are now established because we went through that journey with them.
And he's too powerful.
To sort of build those relationships with obviously the on-screen and the audience, and it worked. And you just said you bring in someone like Ian McDiarmid, perhaps maybe for the last 2 episodes of Andor, it kind of pisses all over the likes of Krennic. It pisses all over all those other sort of actors that were, in playing Imperial officers. So you've got to be very careful, and this is the sort of...
Yeah, you've got to scale up, Stephen. You've got to scale up the protagonist to meet the antagonist.
Yeah.
And the likes of Cassian Andor and fucking Luthen and Mon Mothma, they're not on the level of Chief Palpatine. So if you bring a character like that in, you have to then have a Luke Skywalker and people like that to face him. And even then, Luke wasn't facing up against against Palpatine, the Emperor. So what you call him, the Palpatine. The fuck. That's the cake wearing off the high. And the crash is about to come. My, I'm going to look at the face it again, like the Emperor. I'll go from a sort of chic, affluent-looking... what was he? He was a senator, wasn't he? Was he a senator? Yeah. Senator Palpatine in The Phantom Menace. I'll go from that at the start of this stream to what Palpatine looked like in the throne room in Return of the Jedi. I'm going to look awful when that Bakewell tart, the sugar high, wears off. But no, Stephen, look, I mean, you can't be bringing powerful characters like that in. Again, it kind of works with this because it's a flashback and he's not going to overshadow the current day events. And I suppose Ahsoka's also a Jedi, and we've got other Jedi in there. And also you've got Thrawn, who is an antagonist worthy of facing up against characters like that. So, I mean, the overall sort of scaling of this, the protagonist v antagonist, it would kind of work. But again, you start leaning on fucking Obi-Wan coming in as a Force ghost. So, I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, I never thought of that, John. I actually never thought of him bringing him in as a Force ghost because it would have to be the Alec Guinness.
Exactly.
So the only way it would work is by flashbacks, but they don't really serve. I hate when Star Wars have gone down this road too many times now with flashbacks, and it's starting to annoy me a little bit. We're supposed to be moving forward with this franchise, and they keep doing this.
You can't move forward.
I don't mind. They did it in season 1, but it was meaningful in season 1 because of obviously the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka. But don't keep doing it. Just move forward.
Stephen, do you think Star Wars has got a problem though, in terms of developing of characters and of locations and of stories, and that they just can't seem to have success out with the realms of the Imperial or the Galactic Civil War era? Once you step away from that, it just flops.
As much as I've enjoyed a lot of the sort of series that came and went in terms of the likes of Andor and The Mandalorian, and even going back to the films showing the prequel trilogy, people will say, you're not a real Star Wars fan for saying that. See if they just kept it 4, 5 and 6. I'd have been content with that. I would have been content with that. And I was content with that for the best part of 30 years. So anything that's came after it, it's never really lived up to that original trilogy. Even the prequels, John, and I enjoyed the prequels to an extent. I loved the sort of story unravelling and where it was leading to. Could it have been better? Of course it could. Could the dialogue been written better? Yes, definitely. Could the visuals have been more real practical locations? Yes, they could have. But it's one of those. It's just one of those things, John. I think Star Wars just chops themselves in every time because a lot of it is lost in terms of what they're trying to really like. I like that didn't work. Terrible idea. Terrible writing. But it does pursue it and get through with it. It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter what the fandom think. We're playing through with this. talking about the Rey Skywalker film or films. Oh, they want it. They keep doing this. They keep the whole purpose of this. Any studio is obviously, I suppose, from a studio's point of view, is to make money. I get that, but as time goes on, they're moving away from the original audience, the ones that grew up with the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, John, and they're going to be left with people that don't really care. The people I'm talking about are the people that were only interested in Reylo for the sequel trilogy. They were only interested in Kylo Ren and Rey, this romantic story. The same people that liked that fucking vampire shite with Robert Pattinson.
Twilight.
Same thing. Yeah. It's those people that they'll go in, they don't have any emotional attachment or commitment to the franchise. They dip into it and then they're away again and don't give it a second thought. That's what they're going to be left with going forward if they're not careful.
Yeah. No, listen, Stephen, I've got no interest in seeing any more Rey stuff. No interest in watching the Acolyte in any form or any of the other stuff. And in terms of animated, Steve, we're going to discuss Star Wars Visions and obviously what popped up at, I believe it was Comic-Con, and maybe detailing a time period which has been neglected to this point, the sort of Rise of the Jedi Temple under Luke, that time period, just the Jedi and where they were at when they were trying to regain sort of structure and a foothold in the galaxy. But Stephen, I mean, I genuinely do, just briefly come back to what I asked you, I do believe that there's a real problem with Star Wars as a franchise, and that they haven't got the luxury of Marvel and DC and these sort of comics where you've got 50, 60, 70 years of story to mine off of different characters, different sort of creative ideas being, I don't know, explored. You've got fucking 14, 15, 16, 20, 100 versions of Batman, fucking Gotham by, what was it, Gaslight? That one you watched. You've got the sort of vampiric Bruce Wayne. You've got all these different, you've got Lex Luthor's a good guy in one universe. These are all stories where you can take that and turn it into a screenplay and make a film or a TV show out of it. And you can go off and explore that universe and do different things. Star Wars hasn't got that. It's got 3 movies
Also,
from the 1970s and 80s, and the more you try to expand out, the less interest there is from the fandom. Or the
and you're
fans.
doing damage to those original films, John, as well, as you're doing it. Another thing you mentioned,
what made
that's
it
a good
special,
point,
Steve, was the whole
Marvel,
vibe.
But Marvel and DC do another thing that Star Wars will never do, and I know they'll never do. At some point, Marvel will reboot. They'll reboot the whole thing, and they'll recast Captain America, Iron Man. It will happen because they can do it, and we've seen it obviously with DC, with Christopher Reeves, Henry Cavill, and now David Corenswet playing the live action. Obviously, Brandon Routh's in there as well in terms of the films, John. But people accept that. You know, the people accept, or some people might not accept David Corenswet now, but
I think he's fucking great. Superman.
When they recast, people get over it and they move on. They can't do that. Star Wars can't do that.
No.
They had an opportunity to do it with Sebastian Stan, with Luke Skywalker, and they'll not do it. They would rather put a CG character or a CG version of Mark Hamill in there. And that's nothing against Mark Hamill. He is Luke Skywalker to me, but that's their big issue. They'll never recast. So they've got to keep going forward with obviously real-time actors. And real-time actors are human. They age. And that's the fact of the matter. So they've got that issue as well. But whereas they keep going back to this time period, at some point they'll not be able to do that. We were very lucky with Geneva Riley. Very, very lucky that we got the same actress playing the same character all the way back in 2005 from obviously those outtakes we got from Revenge of the Sith. And they were very lucky to get her to come back in for Rogue One.
And she's almost aged.
She appeared in Ahsoka as well, didn't she? Yeah. She did appear in that.
But she's aging, Stephen, almost in time with the character, because when she was obviously in the deleted scenes in the prequels,
and they were lucky.
She was of that age, and then when she got older, it matched up with Rogue One and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She kind of matched the age of the character.
And it's the same with Ian McDermott as well. He was I think he was round about your age when he played Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, and then obviously went back the way, and the actor was older playing the younger version of Palpatine. That's a very unique thing, but they can't keep doing that. Then they'll not be able to get away with that going forward.
No, they won't, and Stephen, that's where the whole conversation of the future of Star Wars kind of leads us into this thing here, where you've got this Star Wars Visions Season 3 being teased, and they're exploring a timeline in the canon. Well, I mean, it's non-canonical, so it's not in canon, but they're exploring a timeline which has been neglected. Obviously, the whole period when the Jedi were thought to have been exterminated off the face of the galaxy, if there's a face of a galaxy. And then obviously they come back in drips and drabs, and then Luke gathers all of this precocious talent and creates a Jedi temple or academy. We know where that goes because of obviously I can blank on the name of it, The Last Jedi. That was a good thing that I blanked on the name of it. I wish I could forget the fucking thing in its entirety. Where obviously it fails because of his nephew. We know how that works out, but we don't get the general gist and how he rebuilt the Jedi Order and how it impacted on individual characters. And Stephen, I don't know about you, but I'm very disappointed. I'm not shitting on these kind of stories and this animation and whatnot. It's very kind of manga anime-like and the way that it's presented, but I'm 36 years of age. I'm not really... I can't see myself sitting and watching something like that. Now, if that was live action and it was Sebastian Stan, I was about to say Shaw. I always want to say Shaw. Don't know why. Now, I would watch that if you get a guy like that who's the fucking double of Luke Skywalker, of Mark Hamill at a certain point in his life. If you had him come in and play Luke, rebuilding the Jedi Order, and bring in young actors, mid-aged actors, 20-something actors, teenagers, playing these Jedi, rebuilding the Order, that's something I would watch. If it was handled correctly with the right people, you weren't putting stupid political pish into it to sort of, I don't know, appease the lunatic fringe on social media, then I would watch it, and I would watch it happily. That would be Star Wars, Stephen. I've maintained that Star Wars' future lies in the medium of TV. Movies, I think it's a dead franchise. The box office was tracking down in the sequels.
Don't even Ryan Reynolds. Gosling, yeah. Even his film I'm not excited about. And I like Ryan Gosling. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's too good for Star Wars, to be honest with you. But I'm not even excited. Anything that they've announced since the Rise of Skywalker, I have not been excited about one bit.
Because you know it's not going to happen.
Even the Taika Waititi talk, I wasn't not interested at all. You're right. Film is done with Star Wars as far as I'm concerned. But John, just going back to obviously the format of this show you're talking about, I'm the same. You know, I watch a lot of animated films just like you, and we review them on our website, John. We've got an appreciation for the art. Star Wars leans too heavily on bad writing in their films, but their cushion is, we'll address that in a comic book series, we'll address that in an animated series, we'll address that in a book. People don't have the fucking time for that anymore. They don't have time to... what does Maz Kanata mean by that? I'm going to have to buy that fucking book now and read what she's talking about. It's bollocks. Absolute bollocks what they're doing. Just write good films and stop going off on tangents that don't go anywhere.
Yes. They've still not explained that. They've still not explained that, Maz Kanata. Stuff, I mean, they've still not explained why Obi-Wan's talking to Rey. He's like, Rey, these are your first steps. To fucking where?
Yeah.
To where?
Yeah.
To some serpent under the sand on Jakku or fucking Tatooine. Bollocks, man. Why was Obi-Wan speaking to her? She fucking no connection to him whatsoever. What a load of shit. That's not the way the Force works.
A lot of people liked Hayden Christensen's voice at the end of Rise of Skywalker. Do what I did, Rey, once. They fucking shat all over you, mate.
Yeah, I know. Just completely erased what your entire character's arc and his sacrifice. It meant nothing. Because the fucking Emperor lived. He lived on. You sacrificed yourself for nothing, like a chump. Yeah. I know you gained happiness in the long run. You sort of ascended and became a Force ghost, and you were content. You got to connect with your son and obviously your master and whatnot, and everything was happy as Larry, but the actual sacrifice was meaningless. Total abomination in the writing room, that. A terrible decision. I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, if that comes up and you've got a chance to influence anything, you'd immediately step up and say, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. You're completely negating the original movies.
See, at some point, and this is what I don't mind them trying to bridge that gap. That's not what we're sort of shitting on here. I don't mind them trying to bridge a gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens in live action. I don't mind that at all, because it will give it some justification. Perhaps maybe we'll see the cloning process with Snoke. That needs explained. It was so... the whole sort of Snoke relationship with Palpatine was so cloudy. It wasn't really explained well.
Nothing was explained well, Stephen. Because
Palpatine, when we were watching that and we went to Hamilton to see that, John, once.
I've never seen it since.
I was like, is this the same one from Return of the Jedi? Is this a clone? I know obviously as times went on, we've read more into it, but at the time, you shouldn't be getting into a theatre and, having to cross-examine your own thoughts in a film about things that no one understands at this point because nothing's been explained. And it's never been explained, in live action. That's bad writing. It's terrible writing.
Oh, it was awful. Stephen, I've never watched the film again, and I've got no intentions of ever going back and watching it. Just terrible. I mean, I'm still scunnered to this day. I don't think I've watched the original trilogy.
I feel sorry for that film. Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
He waited for his moment, and it was that film that they put him in.
But Stephen, even...
Instead of putting the 3 or 4 of them, the 4 main sort of heroes in the one film in The Force Awakens and carrying on, missed opportunities left, right and centre with this franchise, thanks to J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. Terrible, terrible appointments.
And just the character of Kylo, for me, he was the one interesting thing in the whole sort of movie, or like sequel trilogy. He was the one interesting character, and they totally killed him by turning him back. Having him being full evil, just right down to the gritty end, that would have been perfect.
That's the thing, see if they carried that on, what you said there, if they carried that on to the right to the end, that there was no redemption for him, it would have justified Luke's actions in The Last Jedi. It would have been, well, Luke was right, he was right, there was no redemption in him. Luke says that to Leia, it's too late for him, I can't remember, and then they go and contradict it in the next film.
And Steve, it's almost poetic as well, because Luke was always this morally just, anchored character, uncorruptible or incorruptible, right to the throne room in The Return of the Jedi, where he's getting, obviously, teased with the possibility of power and becoming this great force, and he's like, no, I'll never join you, I'm a Jedi like my father before me, throws the lightsaber away. If you were then to take his nephew, and he's the yin to the yang of that, and he's just the ultimate evil, kills his own father, which is fucking horrendous, falls to the dark side, and just right to the end, he's evil, unredeemable. He's almost like the dark version of Luke's light. It'd have been perfect as a sort of poetry. I don't know how they'd have worked it out, because I'm not a fucking writer, but clearly the people who wrote the scripts weren't writers either, because it was awful. There was so much potential, and they blew it. And Stephen, it's ruined Star Wars. I think ultimately there's a couple of projects come out, like Andor and whatnot, and Ahsoka to an extent, but to me it's a franchise that's on life support. It's not got long left. And they do well to just kill it off, to be honest with you, because I don't see a future where it ever gets to the levels of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. They are the ultimate, and they'll always be up there. And the reason they're up there is because it was a golden era of filmmaking, where people with a different mindset, they handed it down to generations.
That's what they're clinging on to. They're clinging on to the past. They're clinging on to traditions. You've seen it in other sort of formats, John, where things have died and people pretend they've not died. And it's all to do with tradition, and it's all to do with history and that kind of thing. And Star Wars isn't any exception. It's people are looking back nostalgically to the 1970s and early 80s of these three great films, and the warning signs should have been there. The warning signs should have been there with the prequel trilogy. And again, I'm not shitting on the prequel trilogy when I say this, but the flack that George Lucas took for those films was ridiculous. It really was ridiculous.
Stephen, I'd argue that the franchise was on life support even in the 90s. That you could never top the original movies. You just couldn't. Yeah. It's the same reason you can't top Total Recall and RoboCop and all these Back to the Future. They were movies of their time, very special in their time, but society's moved on. The younger generations don't resonate with Star Wars now. The alpha generations, they are all moving away from it. So,
well, there's a period between, I would say, the mid-80s to the mid-90s where Star Wars wasn't fashionable. It wasn't. People read those Expanded Universe books, but not the mainstream audience of Star Wars films read those books, and I include myself in that, John. But there was a period where it just kind of, they had the three films.
Tell me you didn't read the phronology.
Yeah, no,
You're not reading about that wasn't the phronology, but you weren't reading about Lando Calrissian offering Luke hot chocolate on the rooftop because he had insomnia. You missed out, Stephen.
I think I made the right choice, John, by the sounds of it. But there was a period where, Star Wars was such at the forefront of movie making, not just obviously storytelling and how that panned out, but the technology side of things as well, and what became an offspring of Star Wars as a product. You had Pixar, what became Pixar, I should say. You had LucasArts, ILM, Skywalker Sound. All these things sort of spawned, and it was a revolutionary period. But they had those three films. People were curious to find the backstory. Obviously, once they inserted episode 4, 5, and 6 in there, intrigue obviously built up over the sort of mid to late 90s. Obviously, it was announced, when the special editions were announced that there would be a new trilogy, and everyone was excited. And I was excited as well. And sort of over the course between 1999 and 2005, they were enjoyable films to watch in terms of seeing things unfold. And there's some bad choices, of course, but films are like that. You do get some bad choices. Even the most perfect film in my eye, Back to the Future, has this weird thing going on with Marty McFly and Doc Brown having this friendship. It's weird. It's weird. I get that. There's no explanation how they are friends. I'm not saying they shouldn't be friends and be ageist or anything, but it's fucking weird.
It's fucking weird when you think about it because he's still in school.
But for me, it's a perfect film, but it has flaws, and Star Wars had them as well, the prequels. But overall, I think I don't regret them being made the way I regret the sequel trilogy being made, if you know what I mean. So
because it was George. Ultimately, it's his story, and he has a right to tell a story. And Stephen, they worked for all their flaws because it was the completion of the proper Skywalker saga. Not what we get afterwards tacked on like a fucking floater in a toilet. That's certainly not the Skywalker saga. I mean, it makes no fucking sense. She's not even a Skywalker. The protagonist in the Skywalker, the sequel trilogy of the Skywalker story isn't a Skywalker. I can't get my head around it. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It really is. And I'll never forgive the fuckers for doing it. And ultimately, Stephen, it's why it's kind of silly and everything, because the same people involved with that are the same people who were involved with Obi-Wan and shitting on top of Ewan McGregor and that character. A phenomenal actor, generational talent from our country, who was passionate, came in and done an unbelievable job with the character, explored the deep, dark recesses of the character, done something like what they did with Andor, but it was serious storytelling, human condition stuff. Could have been fucking vying for awards. Instead, they give us this, again, floater. That's the best thing I can use. A floater out at sea, right out of a sewage pipe, floating up. Bloop, bloop, bloop. That's what we got in terms of the story. And obviously, if that's a floater, then I don't know what you call the likes of fucking blanking on its name now. The one I've not seen. Acolyte. I don't know what that is.
Well, that's why the experience of that, you talk about floaters, I'd probably put the equivalent of the Acolyte to a British Rail toilet.
That's very specific.
That's you talk about floaters, those fucking toilets don't flush. shit.
Well, I can tell you just now, Stephen, in my work, man, every time I go in, there's 5 cubicles, and this is a dark place we're going to here. It's a place I didn't anticipate going to when we were talking about Star Wars.
That's what happens.
It's like a sort of not a Pandora's box, Russian roulette, which cubicle you go into, because you just know someone shot their fucking brains all over it. And it's either that, you go to the urinals, which are back in the 1970s, where it's like a pig's trough. And if you do the toilet, you're getting a spray back. Mist.
Yeah.
And I do not want that. I do not want to be walking about with that. So you choose a cubicle. And inevitably, that's the acolyte. There's where we're going with it. So no, I mean, I just think Star Wars, Stephen, solid. But look, I'm glad for Hayden. I want to see the stories that have been started with the likes of Ahsoka and also The Mandalorian, seen through to their end. After that, in all honesty, I think I'm probably going to check out with Star Wars. Because unless there's some serious changes in the Lucasfilm, and even then, Stephen, it's too late. You said it yourself. The people who carried the flag, most of them are gone now. Either characters are gone or the actual actors are gone. And that's what made Star Wars special. You've lost that special ingredient.
Well, see, in 2012, when it was announced that Harrison Ford was coming back, I knew Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill would follow along, just if they got Harrison back. But I thought, that's incredible, because I did not think in my lifetime we would see Harrison Ford back in this franchise, because for the best part of 40 years, he just didn't want to talk about Star Wars. I mean, it was complimentary and, in moments when they were doing sort of Empire of Dreams documentary, etc. His appreciation for how it kick-started his career, he has an appreciation for that, but that's where it ends. Very similar to Alec Guinness's experience with Star Wars. Done a whole load of work, a body of work over the years, before Star Wars and after Star Wars. And when that was announced, I thought, don't f this up, because you're not going to get Harrison Ford back again for this if you do this wrong. And sadly, Carrie Fisher passed away in 2016, John. And, Mark Hamill, I think Mark Hamill was the one that was done the dirtiest in this whole experience, to be honest with you. And he says no to coming back. The amount of abuse this guy would have got. But I think he was in a sort of lose-lose situation. He comes back, it plays out the way it does. It's not his fault. In fact, I would go to say that Mark Hamill was probably the best thing about The Last Jedi. I think he's just his scenes were the best stuff. Although I didn't agree with the decisions that were getting made, just in comparison to everything else that was happening in that film, the stuff between Luke and Ray were probably the most interesting, and that's saying something.
It's not just that though, Stephen. I mean, he's 73, so even if they didn't kill the character off, they'd be in the same crossroads here with the franchise, in the sense that you've got a franchise that's been mined out of 3 movies from 50, 60 years ago. 50 years ago. Well, 40, 50 years ago. I'm being harsh saying 60, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
50 years ago. And there's no real scope to expand out and do anything. There's a real dearth of creative brilliance, I think, in Hollywood in general, but certainly at Lucasfilm. No real creative brilliance to take the story anywhere else, away from that timeline into a different part of the galaxy, different planets, different characters, and make it interesting for a new generation. They're just locked into the original trilogy, galactic Civil War era. And when you start to move away, you either get blowback from the fans or it's just shit. So you'd still be in the same position. You've got an aging character can't really go anywhere, and limited scope to expand the franchise out. So ultimately, it's going to fucking die. Inevitably, it's going to die because you can't really move it anywhere.
The only hope it's got, and sort of going forward after Andor season 2, is probably maybe 3 of the sort of female leads, and they were fantastic characters. John Bix and I'm trying to remember the other 2 names.
Forget her name.
Obviously,
the niece of Mon Mothma.
Yeah,
I always forget her name. And then obviously Lufin's cohort, who I didn't know until the last episode.
Yeah, John. But if you're going to do that, it has to come off fresh off the back of Andor, and I don't think there's anything even pen to paper at this moment with these characters. So what's going to happen is, and I think particularly this is where Kathleen Kennedy's probably come into it and said, I want to make sure those 3 characters are surviving this series because I want to carry those 3 characters. You know our agenda, John. I don't have to spell it out, but I love the 3 characters.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen is time's going to go and we're going to lose that momentum on those characters and people are going to forget about them.
And even if they do, Stephen, if they do a TV show with those 3 characters, you're going to have the same sexist, fucking misogynistic arsewipes on social media, on YouTube, immediately hating on it because it's women that are leading it, immediately coercing people to review bomb.
That's a can of worms that we can talk about for another day, but I think what will happen. That's unfortunately what will happen because a lot of the mindset is like that. But as I said, momentum will be lost because by the time, if they have this plan with these 3, you've got to do the writing, you've got to do the casting, you've got to then do the sort of pre-production. But you're talking maybe 10 years from now. People are going to be like, don't you remember these characters now?
Yeah.
People move on very quickly. So I don't know what their plan is going forward.
And again, Stephen, the other issue in this, probably the final thing I'll say, because I know we're kind of overstaying my welcome on it, but I'm going to say one more thing on it. The other issue with that is what made Andor so special for me was its close contact with A New Hope and Rogue One, which is probably the only good thing that Disney's put out in terms of films. Force Awakens was alright, but it was a rehash. You lose that connection with Andor via Rogue One, via the events leading up into A New Hope. You're going off and telling a new story. I suppose you could bleed into Empire Strikes Back, or no Empire, the Return of the Jedi, the building of the second Death Star. But it's just lightning in a bottle, magic captured via Tony Gilroy and Gareth Edwards to an extent, and the guy that brainchilded it, whose name I always forget, from the screen.
John Knowles.
Yeah, the guy who came up with it, Mr. Knowles from the Screen Crawl. You've kind of just captured magic in a bottle with that concept. Yeah. Try to recapture that again would be really difficult. And you've lost what made the show so fucking great. I mean, I understand Mon Mothma would still be there, but you've lost the likes of Luthen, who was just, he made it watchable, Stern, phenomenal. And all the side characters, antagonistic and protagonistic, the likes of Krennic, gone now in the universe. So, I don't know, man, you'd have to cast it perfectly. Andor as well, gone. So, it'd be really tough to capture that magic again. And all the political stuff that would come out of it with leading women in the roles. You know, the usual folk that are just permanently disenfranchised, never fucking happy. Always shilling away.
That, you know, this show tonight, we've kind of went down that road, but it's just because we care about the franchise, and we did care about the franchise, and it's just, we're sad to see the way things are going with it, you know, and we're not out with an agenda like certain YouTube channels, Jeremy. But I just think, it's a sad sort of state of affairs that the whole studio's in. Lucasfilm, it's a weird one, John. They don't do anything other than Star Wars these days. The occasional Indiana Jones, nothing comes out of it.
No.
Nothing at all.
No.
Weird.
Had to sneeze there. And I'm sneezing again. There you go. Blame my dog for that. Bless me. Bless you. Blank butch on it. Sorry. But no, I was going to round it up. I was going to talk about Ronan McCann and also Bale and Skull, but we kind of moved on from that, so I'm not going to rehash old ground. Needless to say, get high hopes for Rory. Again, that TV show, another reason that I already mentioned why you don't bring in Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan, is there's enough interesting characters in there. Bale and Skull, all the side players from Clone Wars and Rebels bleeding over. There's enough interesting stuff going on. You don't need to add another main character in there, one with such a big presence and personality that's going to overshadow everyone. There's enough going on. Bale and Skull stuff, his arc was fascinating, and that was the best stuff. And sadly we've lost Ray Stevenson, but we're getting Rory McCann, who's also a phenomenal actor from Game of Thrones. So there's so much potential moving forward with that character in season 2. Hopefully they do that well. But ultimately, I don't want to see Ewan back. When have Lucasfilm ever fucking listened to shit kickers from Glasgow? You know? They don't fucking listen to us. And rightly so. Because they'd be right up shit creek without a fucking paddle. Because as much as they don't know what they're doing, I also don't know what the fuck I'm doing. when it comes to Star Wars and writing screenplays, so don't listen to me. That'd be a bad idea. But anyway, man, that's going to round it up. What's your thoughts on Ewan McGregor not imminently appearing in Ahsoka Tano Season 2? I don't know why I gave her a full Sunday name, but I did. Deal with it. What's your thoughts on it? Thoughts on Star Wars Vision Season 3 exploring a whole era which was, up until this point, missing? The sort of exploration of the Jedi Temple, Jedi Academy, Rise of the Jedi after Order 66. Share your thoughts on that, anything we've discussed at all down below in the comments section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyes. Same thing over on Twitch, follow button, notifications button over there to see us live on a completely different platform. All that's left to be said though is thank you for watching us, and until the next time, bye bye.